Good evening, guys. Thank you for joining me. So guys, today right now in this video I was going to talk about the financial system, banks, bank runs and cyber attacks, but I think I need to talk about the cases of bird flu and how I'm seeing the seedlings of pandemic 2.0 potentially coming. So it's come out recently, I think today actually, that there's a case of bird flu in Mexico, and this has basically killed someone. Now, the reason people are talking about it, I've looked into this, there's so many different different strains of bird flu, but this one in particular, hang on, I've wrote it down here, the H5N2 strain. This has never jumped to humans before, so this is a world first of this strain making the jump from obviously birds to humans. Now, as I said, this is in Mexico, but there's been one confirmed fatality. Now, why is this important? Well, look what we've just been through the last 4 years. So bird flu, it has a mortality rate of 52%, and I'll put all the links to this in the description, guys, okay? But basically 52% mortality rate means 52 out of 100 people will be, will not recover. Guys, that is a population destroyer. That means you can forget about wars, you can forget about everything, because we will all just be trying to, survive this this pandemic whenever it comes, if it comes. Bird flu, it has a 3 to 5 day incubation period. So again, I mean, we are all literally experts now on, these pandemics and stuff and these incubation periods. But for those of you who've been living in a cave the last 4 years, your incubation period is how long it takes from being exposed to having symptoms. So that's 3 to 5 days. Guys, this has never been found in humans before. This is a really big deal. The World Health Organization, they're coming out now, they're talking about it. Nobody knows how this guy has contracted it, which again, is very, very scary. Normally these people who contract bird flu, they work with birds basically, whether that be in a chicken farm, obviously chickens, because of, you can go down this road if you want, but the way chickens are kept, it's, how do I put this? It's very cost efficient. It's, you can argue with that, and I agree with those arguments. But the reality is chickens are kept in very small cages, close to each other. So one chicken gets something, the other chicken gets it, the other chicken gets it. And the more times these, the more transmissions there is, the more chance of this virus mutating, which is what it's obviously done. And normally what you find with these jumps to humans is that person is involved with that, with a chicken farm, they work with geese, they work with wild birds or something. But this case that we found in Mexico, well, not me, but this case that they found in Mexico, they don't know what the source of this, they don't know what the source of this is. They can't find it. So what does that mean? It means there's probably other people with that, that have that infection. And are we going to see this over the next couple of days? Are other people going to be carriers? Are other people going to start going sick with it? Is there going to be more cases announced in the future? I don't know, but but this is what we know at the moment. So this guy died on the 24th of April, and we're only just finding out about it now. So how many more infections have there been? How much more has this virus actually spread? Where are Mexicans going? Are Mexicans flooding America? I don't know. Are these people who are coming over the border into America, are potentially some of those people infected? Are they going on to infect other people in America? I don't know. And then where are those people going? Are they going to airports? Are they going to, are these people, when they're kept, are they kept in small spaces? That it's easy, it's easy then to transmit these diseases. Guys, we live in an interconnected world now. If somebody gets this at an airport, it can affect so many people. I remember in the UK, they just didn't bother closing the airports when the 2019 pandemic came about. Guys, and I don't want to get into an argument here about the pandemic, because what do I always say on this channel, guys, all right? I always say the truth doesn't matter and the reality doesn't matter. It's only the perception of that reality that matters. For example, wherever you live in the world, if it came on the news, you know, that your country was under attack by aliens, all right, and then on the news they were showing you images to support that, you would believe that you were under attack by aliens and you would do whatever you were told. So that's what I mean, guys, okay? You control that perception of what's happening. The reality doesn't really make, you know, the reality doesn't make, excuse me, the reality doesn't make any difference. So this could have, the reality is now, this could have spread, it could have spread and we don't know how far it's spreading. But also on the rise are cases of different strains of bird flu, and these different strains of bird flu, they're spreading to mice, they're spreading to cattle. In the UK, I think this year in the UK, the UK said we're free of bird flu, but again, that's another strain of bird flu, so it becomes really complicated to identify these strains of bird flu. Well, for me anyway, because I do military, guys, okay? Tanks, guns, aircraft, you know, troop movements, tactics, geopolitical posturing. I'm all over that, guys, all right? I'm telling you this because it's something that could affect everyone in the planet, and with a 52% mortality rate, guys, you know, we need to talk about this and we need to understand, you know, what could potentially come from this. So my questions around this incident would be, where did this guy get it from? You know, we need to understand that really quickly, because this, to me, I'm just remembering when I first started seeing the COVID-19 pandemic start to develop, and I was thinking, wow, you know, and I was really paying attention, and it didn't really get much media attention at the early stages, but you were like, imagine it, to me it seemed like, looking back at it now, it seems like the beginning of like a zombie film or something, you know, when they're showing you the news cuttings to let you guys know what's happened. It seems like that, and right now this seems like the beginning of that, you know, I guess that movie. I can also remember, like, what's the guy's name, the Microsoft guy, Bill Gates. I remember him coming out and saying the next pandemic is going to be, did he know? I don't know, but you know, I specifically remember him coming out and saying that. But look at the numbers, guys, all right? The numbers are really important, or the perception of the numbers. So what's going to happen in Mexico is going to be key over the next few days. And I think that they may start to, well, if they do start to, you know, announce more cases of this bird flu, more fatalities, then what each and every person needs to do is they need to have triggers. So for myself, in the when it was 2019, 2020, when we was watching this pandemic unfold in real time, you know, I was looking at this and I was thinking, right, okay, it's going here, it's going there. Then we saw all the scenes from Italy. Then, you know, we were looking at what's happening in China, and I was looking at China, I was thinking, wow, you know, these Chinese are building these huge hospitals ridiculously quick. Couldn't believe what was happening. And again, you know, you can, some people would argue that case and they would say it's fake news, but you know, the reality is, I understand there are two alternatives. There's the reality and there's the perception, but we need to be conscious of both. But I said, okay, right, as soon as the first case is announced and confirmed here in the UK, I'm going to have those triggers. You know, I'm going to make sure I go out and I get the food, I get the water, I get all the supplies I need, so I can bunker me and my family down in my house and we don't have to leave. And there was a lot of people still in denial at that time. Excuse me. There was a lot of people still in denial at that point, you know, saying it wouldn't happen, and you know, and it's not going to happen to them, and it's not going to come here, and it's not going to be as bad as it is. And then what happened? Can you remember when Boris came down and he said, yeah, we're all going on lockdown? Guys, it was wild times. Remember Clap for Your Carers and all that, you know, and all those shenanigans. Now, can you imagine doubling this up with the chaser of war, the chaser of the food crisis that we spoke about in my previous video, the shipping crisis, You know, all these things now, guys, look at all the chaos that's coming this year, that could potentially be coming this year. And if you remember my previous video when I spoke about war by July, war being announced July, August, or a little bit later, and then like literally 2 days later there was, I think, and I also said on that video, I said that Rishi Sunak doesn't want to be a wartime prime minister, and then literally 2 days later there was you know, a general election called. Absolutely crazy times. So if that was right, is July, August war a little bit later, is it going to get cold? My personal opinion is that if this is going to get cold, it will get cold when the summer holidays start, so I guess mid-July. That would give them maximum what's the word I'm looking for? Maximum confusion, because you'd have people on leave, you'd have people on holiday, and I know what you're saying, you can call them back, there's emergency Cobra meetings, Cabinet Office briefing room, Alpha, you know, there's all that sort of stuff that can happen, and yes, that will happen, but the reality is the human factor, and so many people don't don't take into consideration the human factor. You can also call it the Karen factor, all right? Yes, those people will be called back, but will they be able to get back? You know, will the people who they rely on, will they be able to give them their information? What about their kids? And, you know, there's this whole network, and the reality is mid-July, everybody goes on summer leave, everybody's away, people are on holidays, people are hard to get back. So that's in my mind, that's when things would get cold, because it would just be harder to deal with. But again, from what we said it was going to be July, August, a little bit later. Look at the seedlings that are sprouting now. Guys, we are in for a ride. So what I suggest to everybody now is just make your own triggers, like I did in 2020. Whatever your situation is, whatever your financial situation is, whatever your social situation is, just make your own triggers and think it through in your head. Start to think, right, okay, so this strain's been found in Mexico. Maybe your triggers will be, right, I'm going to do absolutely nothing until there's another case, you know, until there is another case confirmed. And that may be your next trigger point, and that's fine. But then you need to think to yourself, right, okay, if there's another case confirmed, I'm going to actually go through the process of making a plan. Again, guys, okay, everybody's situation is different. So what is that going to be? I would suggest that whatever country you live in, that you have your trigger plan thought of, you identify it, you sit down with your friends, with your family, you talk things through, you build a community. You know, by community, I mean, you know, independence is codependence. You know, you can't really have a community. Nobody can go out on the wild and survive on their own. You know, I say this on our other channel all the time. You know, people when things were getting really wild, like in October, people were saying, oh, you know, we're gonna have a bug out bag, and we're gonna, you know, I'm gonna have my couple of tins of beans and that. And guys, it's a fantasy. Nobody's going to bug out. Not in your Hilux, not in your caravan, not in your RV. Think how much stuff you can store in your home. It's a lot more than you can carry, and it's a lot more than you can, you know, carry in your vehicle. Your vehicle needs fuel. You know, where you're going to go, where you're going to sleep, how you're going to be secure, all that sort of stuff. So I go down the road of urban survival. What does urban survival mean? Well, if you live in the UK or the US, yeah, I say the US as well. You know, if you live in an urban area, I mean, we call ourselves a first world country, but from the video I did previously, and we talked about the food insecurities and people in the UK in food poverty, that could be argued, but we're going to go down the UK as a first world nation. So the UK in a first world nation, it's highly unlikely you're going to be out in fact, guys, I'm just going to put it out there, it's absolutely not happening. Nobody in the UK is going to be living in the woods, foraging for food, right, and barbecuing squirrels. It's a fantasy. It's not going to happen. What you will be likely, though, if things progress with the war, with the food shortages, with this potential case of bird flu that's coming, you may have to leave your house on short notice. You may have to evacuate. Something may happen where you may have to just grab something from your home and go. And that's what I'm talking about, urban survival, guys, all right? Where you need to get minimum minimum kit from wherever it is you live, and then you may have to go and relocate. So that's the reality, guys. All right. Bugging is always going to be better than bugging out, because you've got your community there, and people need to build a community. You know, bricklayers, carpenters, plumbers, electricians. These are the type of people who can actually contribute things, not people who go and, well, I'm not going to go into that, guys, but you know, people who've got real skills. They're the people who you need in your community. And if you don't have them, or or maybe you have one person who's an electrician, get that electrician, start teaching other people how to be, you know, electricians. Basic things, isolating fuse boxes, putting plugs on, because I'm not going to tell you who, but somebody in our family didn't know how to put a plug on. I was like, wow, okay, right, I'll do that. You know, really basic things, and we need to start working as a community and coming together. But guys, sorry, I've waffled on for too long. This was supposed to be a video on bank runs, not cryptocurrency, bank runs, and the potential for cyber attacks to, you know, cause a bank run. And once one bank run starts to go, then all the other banks will go, because we live in that interconnected society. I can remember when Northern Rock was Northern Rock. If you don't know, it was I think it was a bank. It gave a lot of mortgages out, a lot of subprime. It gave a lot of subprime mortgages out in the noughties. Northern Rock went bust. There was a bank run. People queuing up to try and get their money out. People lost a lot of money. The bank went bust, and everybody lost their money. What happened? Well, the government stepped. Then there was other financial problems. That was kind of the first thing that happened. Then there was a financial crisis in 2008. The government said, right, we can't bail the banks out anymore. It's just political, you know, it's a political nightmare. It's a minefield. So what they did, they changed the laws. They did something called a bail-in law. So basically now, and you can look on for this, guys. Look, bail-in law UK. Basically, if you've got money in a bank, now I know it is guaranteed up to a certain level, but it's not that high. That if you've got money in a bank, the bank can take that money and they can then use it for themselves. So that's called a bail-in, which is a lot worse. Can you imagine if you have a mortgage with your bank? I don't know. Whatever high street bank you're with. Imagine you've got a mortgage with that bank, okay? Right? And then that bank comes into trouble, and then that bank takes your money and then still demands your mortgage. That could happen, guys, all right? Think how dystopian that actually is. You pay your mortgage every month. The bank take your money, so you can't pay your mortgage. Then the bank demand the money from your mortgage, but you can't pay that because guys, it's just absolutely insane. And as soon as these bank runs start, and they could be brought on by cyber attacks, remember, I say it all the time, the main reason for these cyber attacks is the biggest goal for these cyber attacks is to hit the financial system. Once you hit the financial system, there's a bank run, people lose trust in the banks, people can't pay for things, society grinds to a stop. So that's that's kind of the golden standard for these cyber attacks. Look what's just been happening off the coast of Ireland, where the fibre optic cables connect the US and Europe. You know, Norway, France and the UK all had their, I think, Poseidon aircraft looking for Russian submarines right over where these cables lay. Excuse me. So we're under that threat, guys. I'll do a dedicated video on that, guys, okay, on cyber attacks and how this can affect the banking system and the banking run. But the short of this video is, guys, the new bird flu strain, what is it, H5N2, never been seen in humans before. That's now jumped to humans. There's been one fatality. They don't know how this person contracted it. There's no history of him working with birds or anything, which means, in my opinion, that he must have contracted that from another human. Because how else would he have done it if he's got no history of working with birds? I don't know, guys. Maybe that's just me. Let me know what you think in the comments, guys, and I will see you guys later. Don't forget to look after yourself and build a community.